Dear candidate, I am very excited that you will be joining us for the last stage in our hiring process, which will be the personal interview. And in order to help you prepare for the interview, I put together this video, which will help answer many of the questions that you might have about our internship, how the work will be conducted, and what our organization is actually about and how it operates. So without further ado, let's get to it. So let's start with the web development. So as we discussed, which we covered in the questionnaire that we sent out to you, we have 6 major areas of web development which we'll need assistance with. So first of all, we have the UI UX design, which is all about helping our students use the website for intuitive and user-friendly design to really create a design where as soon as you land on the website, you know exactly where to go and where to find the things that you are looking for. We then also have, oops, let me resize that screen a little bit. There we go. We also have building out new modules. And this area is all about creating new sections, new functionality, new features for the website so that we can serve our students in new ways. So it's going to need a lot of custom code, a lot of creativity, and a lot of user insight into what our students need. We then have search engine optimization. So we're basically improving our search rankings so that more students will be able to find us and that we can serve a greater audience. We then have performance enhancement, and this is all about responsive design, fixing bugs and everything to make sure our students have a seamless and perfect learning experience. We then have security and encryption, which is about protecting our academy and our students' personal data from hackers, to make sure our entire organization is secure web-wise. And lastly, we have code optimization, which is all about restructuring our code, making the entire data structure very intuitive so that you know exactly which code is sourced from which files, and to make the entire code more dry. So to ensure that everything is operating smoothly from the back end. And this is a very critical skill because you are going to be helping every single one of your teammates to do their job better for our students. So how are we going to work together on this internship? As was previously shown on the slide, we're going to work on teams with about 1 to 3 people on each of these 6 areas, which I just showed. And this is going to require a lot of cooperation and very fluid teams. So for example, building out new modules. This is going to work very closely with performance enhancement to make sure that the new modules are responsive, that we don't have any bugs on them. And it's also going to require a lot of cooperation from UI UX design to make sure that the new modules are very intuitive to use and very user-friendly for our students. Then again, performance enhancement and code optimization, also very, very closely linked. It's actually not very clear on where the line goes between them. And that's kind of the point. Many of the teams here will be very fluid. It's not like we are going to divide very strictly that you are just in performance enhancement, you are in code optimization. Perhaps you're going to be on several teams, a little bit in between. It's going to be a very fluid, lots of cooperation, but we try to keep it to about 1 to 3 people that you'll work most closely with. So we think that is going to be about the size, which we will help you collaborate best. But nothing of this is set in stone. In fact, how will we work? We will work together. We're going to decide basically everything on this together. So, and that includes deciding what to focus on, which modules, for example, that should be built, which area of all of the 6 are most important to prioritize. We're also going to decide together whom should do what, whom is best qualified for doing this job, which job how should we structure the entire our entire working area tasks that we have. And this is also something that we decide together. Lastly, we're also going to decide together what the deadlines should be for the project. And the reason why we decide all of this together and not something that Philip and I as management will assign to you. That's because Philip, my co-founder, and I, we don't have enough experience in web development to tell you what you should be focusing on. We don't know how much work some modules will require, what the optimal structure for code is going to be, how long it takes to develop certain features. And that is where we are going to be relying on your expertise and your knowledge. We have perhaps better sense of the entire mission or the entire business of Eureka, but we are not in the trenches. We don't have experience to say this is what is most important right now for the website. We can only say from the student's perspective what might be needed, but we are going to need your expertise to match that. So in the beginning of Internship, it's going to be a lot of focus on team alignment at the start, with a lot of discussions on what is most important for us to do, whom should do what, and in which deadline. So apart from that, everyone is responsible for doing their part, but you as an individual, you are free to decide how, where, and when you do your work. As long as you meet deadlines, and as long as you produce quality work and cooperate well with everyone else, totally up to you how you do your job and how, where, and when it's accomplished. So we really want to push as much authority down to you as possible. So our job is to help you better understand what our students need, what the entire organization of Eureka needs. And then we are going to be relying on you, on your expertise, to tell us what is possible and to fill us in on the areas where we don't have enough knowledge. So what is the current status of the website? So when it comes to UI UX design, we have a pretty firm ground, but there are definitely major improvements that can be made. So for example, if we visit the website briefly, one of the things that you will notice is that while the website looks very good, it's perhaps not very intuitive when you land here as a student where you should go. This is going to be your job as UI UX designer. Help the student navigate the entire website and help them get to where they want to go. Some other things that we might need there is, for example, changing layout design on buttons. So right now our lesson buttons looks like this, but also within our lesson, we have the exact same design for just toggling between the pages. Again, here we're going to need differentiating design to make it more intuitive which buttons go where. So that's just a few examples. Then going back about building new modules. We can't really assign a specific status to this one because this is all about building new features which doesn't exist right now. If we move on, however, to search engine optimization, no groundwork has been laid on this feature at all. If you search actually for Eureka Math on Google, we're probably not even going to show up in top 150 or 500 searches. This is going to require a lot of work, otherwise students can't find us. When it comes to performance enhancement, we have quite some work to be done here. Again, let me share the website. So for example, if I visit this lesson, you will notice that mathematics are formatted in different ways in different places. So for example, we have this formatting of maths right here, but when we move down to this section, it's an entirely different design and styling, which does not look either good or professional. Also, let's see if we get to the next page. You will notice that on some instances, the list items are not indented properly. Also moving down here, again, we have some list item issues. And you'll also notice in some areas that there are spaces after our equations. So there are quite some work needed to be done to make sure our mathematics is beautifully formatted and formatting the same way everywhere. We also have some issues, for example, when it comes to images. If I inspect this one, you will notice that the link is probably the largest single link sequence you have seen in your life. This is not a sign of optimal code structure. So again, here we're going to need to redesign how the code is structured on the back end quite a lot. Let me close that one down. Let me bring up the presentation again. There we go. Now, moving on to security and encryption. This one, we actually don't know how well we are doing. We don't have anyone on our team who's qualified enough to actually give a good evaluation on how secure our website actually is. So we frankly can't tell. And lastly, we have code optimization. This one again ties very closely in with performance enhancement. But as I just showed, there is a lot of work needed to be done on just restructuring our code and making sure that we have a firm foundation to build upon. So the team who developed the website we have currently is an Indian company called CodersPar. They have currently finished their delivery and moved on to other assignments. So we're not going to be working with them anymore. However, while they did give us a functional website, which is technically working, it's basically a castle built on sand. So right now we have a lot of foundational work to do to make sure that we have a stable ground and foundation to continue building upon. So now let me help you clue you in on how our entire organization looks a bit more like. So we have covered web development so far. As mentioned, we have previously had the Indian firm CodersPar, and right now you are going to be the one who is going to take over. So apart from you, we have one web developer right now who is currently working with performance enhancement to restructure code and fixing bugs. Otherwise, you are going to be filling out the entire web development team. We then have content creation, and it's all about creating math content, problems, and lessons so that we actually have something to offer for our students. So we have 10 people who are currently active on creating new lesson material, and we have 7 who are previously active or are active from time to time. We then have marketing. So right now we have one email marketer, her name is Olga, but she's only working very briefly part-time. So we have plans to recruit and expand the marketing team. Then we all have fundraising. And right now, I'm actually embarrassed to say we don't have anyone who is fulfilling this role. So here we have plans, again, to recruit more members to this team, because to be honest, I actually want to be able to pay you for working for us. The only reason why we can't is because we don't have any financial backing. But if I could, I would definitely want to help you, because I would like you to be able to stay long term and we have a fulfilling career at Eureka. So this is going to be a major issue, and one which I will personally address after the recruitment have been done. And lastly, we have development and support. So this is where I and my co-founder Philip come in. Our job is basically to support every single one of the other 4 pillars and to develop the organization as a whole. So our role is basically everywhere and nowhere at the same time. So now we have covered a lot about the what's of Eureka, but what is actually our reason for existing? So when Philip and I founded Eureka, it was for one simple purpose, and that is to help others believe in themselves so that they feel empowered to do extraordinary things. Now, this is probably going to sound very visionary and out of touch with reality, but this is actually what everything we do in Eureka is about. This is where all our work stems from, to help others believe in themselves so that they feel empowered to do extraordinary things. So to help you understand how this ties into actually teaching problem solving, let me give you an example. Most math that is taught at school, for example, if they're going to teach you Pythagoras theorem, they will give you a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And now once you have memorized this, here are 17 right angle triangles where we give you 2 sides. And now it's up to you to figure out the third. This is essentially just a conveyor belt, which the students are put on. They are given a procedure from management, aka their teachers and the school system, to memorize certain formulas and theorems like Pythagoras theorem, and then to just mindlessly apply them on problems. There's no creativity, and there's no helping them achieve their potential. What we do at Eureka instead, let me show you an example. Actually, a lesson which I wrote myself on Pythagoras theorem. What we do is we help students discover Pythagoras theorem for themselves. So nowhere in the lesson will you find us presenting a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Instead, what I did was to present the students with these two squares. So both squares have the same area, and in both squares, there are 4 gray right-angled triangles. The only difference is that the gray triangles are placed in different ways in each square. But obviously, as you can see, the white area in each of the figures have to be the same. We're starting with the same area, and we are filling in the same gray area. So the white must be the same. But this means that this small square plus this larger white square is equal to the white area in the right figure. And there you essentially have Pythagoras theorem proved. But we don't present this to the students. We give this as a starting point, and then we help give them exercises and clues to help them figure this out on their own. It's not about us teaching maths to the students. It's about helping the students to learn. We want them to feel confident that if we give them a problem, which they have never seen anything like before, that their first reaction is that, I don't know how to solve this, but I'm sure I will find a way. That is actually the mission of every single lesson that we have on Eureka. It is not about teaching any specific skill or knowledge in maths. Every single lesson, its purpose is to help train students to think for themselves so that they will be confident on taking on whichever challenge they might have in their other areas of life. We want them to take the confidence that they discover in mathematics, that they actually can solve more difficult problems than they thought possible, and apply it to other areas in life. So our vision with Eureka is to build an online academy that both helps students to find their passion, what they love to do, and then to help them excel in that field. We imagine a free university that you can access on your mobile phone or your computer, where you as a student, you are presented with courses on all subjects and all skill levels. So right now we only have mathematics, which is basically mainly because mathematics is the only area which Philip and I happen to be skilled enough to teach. But for the long term, we want to expand into all various subjects, science, programming, history. We want to present students with a smorgasbord of courses which they can take, and also welcome any students, no matter age or skill level. If you're interested in learning, Eureka is going to be the right place for you. And as a student, you are going to be completely free to choose whichever resources that happens to fit your needs. We want to put you in charge of your education, compared to school, where they decide which subjects you teach and at which level also that you're going to learn them. We want to free students to study on their own terms. Or not actually study, we want them to learn and excel in their own terms. And of course, everything will be free and accessible anywhere, anytime, and to anyone. Essentially, we want to help students realize that they can do extraordinary things, that it's not impossible to do what they would like to do with their lives. We want to help students, find their passion, what they're interested in, and then give them all the support they need to really excel within that field. And again, to feel confident that they can do it. So to basically summarize, we at Eureka, we imagine a world in which students come to school and they feel excited to learn. They are in charge of their learning when they are there, and they return home feeling more confident in themselves at the end of each day. This is the world that we imagine at Eureka, and this is what we are trying to accomplish with this online academy. What I'm asking you now Is this something that you feel excited about contributing to? Is this something that you would like to be a part of? In that case, you are probably the candidate that we are looking for this internship.